Keep joining. Let's get started. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you, and a very happy Radha Ashtami to all of you as well. So let's get underway. We are going to talk about a very important topic, right, related to Radhe Radhe. A lot of people get confused. Who are these guys? They have Krishna at the backdrop, but they keep on saying Radhe Radhe. And what does Radhe Radhe mean, right? So we'll talk about this concept. It's a very deep concept. And hopefully we'll have a good discussion around this concept to clarify, uh, if not all, most of the doubts, hopefully. So let me share my screen and we will get started. Share. All right. So let's get started, like we always do, by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you. This is our Radhashtami special session. So we did this prayer, right? Vasudev Sutam Devam. We take the blessings of the original Jagat Guru, which is Krishna himself. And one of the lines that comes in the shloka is Kansa Chanur Mardanam, right? That he slayed Kans and Chanur, who were the demons. Now, why limited to them only, right? He killed so many demons. It's more about talking about a demon is like a doubt in our head is like a demon. If not resolved, it keeps on becoming more and more powerful until it slays the knowledge. And then it could not only obstruct but potentially derail our spiritual journey as well. So it's very important to resolve the doubts in a timely manner, coming in from a bona fide knowledge, which is scriptures. Right now, you say, how do I know the scriptures are correct? There are the three filter tests that we apply. It's stated in scripture. You have a reference, bibliographical reference from the scripture. Multiple saints have said it. It's not one saint who has said that. Multiple saints in different eras. And then your realized guru is saying the same. If it passes these three filter tests, you have a good reason to believe that this is bona fide knowledge. Right? It's not something speculative, and it's not something which is suggested by Mr. Google or ChatGPT. Okay, alone. Now, with that said, let's get started. I picked up a couple of verses, and I'll explain you why I have picked up these verses to drive the conversation today on the auspicious occasion of Radha Ashtami. Okay, hope you all had a great Radha Ashtami, and we are going to talk about Radha Tattva in these sessions. So I picked up these shlokas, and we have picked up a lot of references. Okay, for people who might be wondering, where is the reference of Radha Tattva as such in our scriptures? We haven't heard it at least, and these people keep on doing Radhe Radhe, right? So we'll go really deep into this topic. So let's get started. The first one I picked from chapter 4, verse 6. We've already gone through that. And then there's another one, 7.25 is what I picked. So I'm going to recite it. You're welcome to follow along. Ajopi sannavyayatma Bhutanamishwaropi san Prakritim swamadhisthaya Sambhavamyatma mayaya. Okay, we can take a couple of hands and then we'll go to the next shloka as well. We have a lot of things to discuss today, so we'll take a few hands.
Radhe Radhe SSPG, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe SSPG.
Namaste, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Ajosi sanna, ajopi sanna vyatma भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामिधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्मा माया.
Very nice.
Sorry, I
Thank you.
could not.
No worries, please. Who's next?
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Shyamji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Ajopi sanvyayatma bhutanamishwaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Radhe
Okay.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. We'll take the remaining hands on the next shloka. So in this one, Lord is saying that although I'm unborn, God is unborn, okay? He just takes on an avatar. And when he takes on an avatar, he's not obliged to hang upside down in mother's womb. He just manifests. The Lord of all living entities and have an imperishable nature, yet I appear in this world by virtue of Yogamaya, my divine power. So the operating word today that we are going to focus on is going to be the Yogamaya, or the divine power of God. Okay, so Yogamaya, divine power of God. He's referred to Yogamaya in multiple shlokas. This is the first one. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one, and you're welcome to recite it as well. Okay, this is 7.25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. All right, let's take the remaining hands on this one.
Radhe Radhe, Tarunji.
Radhe Radhe.
Tarunji.
Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavratah mudho yam nabhijanati loko mam jam avyayam.
Mamajam avyayam. All right, thank you very much, Tarunji. I see Manvita has turned her video on as well today. Good to see you.
Radhe Radhe, Manvita, and Radhe Radhe to your cute daughter as well. I don't remember her name.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samamvritaha mudo yam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam.
Very nice. Thank you, Manvita. Okay. Yes, so who all have turned their videos on? Go ahead, Sandhya.
Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sandhya. Yes, Akshata ji.
Akshata ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudoam nabhijanati loko mamaja mavyayam.
Very nice. Thank you. Radhe Radhe Ramesh ji.
Ramesh ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam.
Wonderful. We can take the remaining three hands.
Radhe Radhe Riya ji.
Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudo yam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam.
Very nice. Thank you, Riya ji.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Radhe Radhe. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam.
Very nice. Thank you, Pragi ji. Okay, we have two more hands. Go ahead, please, Manishi.
Radhe Radhe Manishi.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji and Sandhya, and everyone. Naham Prakash Shah Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha Mudho Yamna Bijanati Loko Mam Ajam Avyayam.
Very
Thank
nice,
you.
Manishi. Radhe Radhe. Okay, last but not the least, Aparna ji, please go ahead.
Yes, Radhe Radhe Aparna ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Naham prakashasa sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha mudho yam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Well, very nice. Thank you. So let's get started. In this one, Lord is saying, I'm not manifest to everyone. We know that for a fact, right? So this whole world is a veritable form of God. In fact, God creates this world like a spider creates the web from its body. And then once it creates it, it permeates every atom of this universe. So everything practically is God around you. And yet he's unmanifest. We are not able to perceive it. It's like being surrounded by sugar and having no perception of sweetness at all. And that's because we have a lump in our tongue right now. Okay, once that is removed, we will be able to perceive God in pretty much everything. He's saying being veiled by my divine Yogamaya energy. Again, Yogamaya is coming. Right? Hence, those without knowledge do not know that I am without birth and changeless. Now, Yogamaya is the energy that we are going to talk about today. And how does it relate to Radha? Tattva is what we are going to connect the dots, because it is Radha Ashtami, so it's important to understand the Radha Tattva. So let's get started. We start by the soul soup segment, and let's see what is it before we get into the topic today. Now, how do we develop real self-esteem? We develop real self-esteem by becoming humble. It is counterintuitive, right? There is a lot of focus on self-esteem in the corporate culture. Guys, you need to build self-esteem and highlight yourself. I have done this, I have done that. And on the contrary, what happens is it's like remove corruption, and corruption increases. Your self-esteem is always insecure. What if, right? Now, the counterintuitive aspect of it is you truly become humble. Just accept who you are, right? In the grand scheme of things in front of God. And then you would say, how will that make me, increase my self-esteem? If I think of myself being humble, won't I become a doormat? Or not necessarily. That doesn't mean. You just understand, your constitutional position, or in grand scheme of thing, what you truly have. So that will bring in humility. Like you may think of yourself as a very tall person. I'm a 6'11" person. And maybe thinking yourself equal to the mountain, but as you start getting closer to the mountain, it just brings things to perspective, how tall the mountain is and how insignificant you are, right? So if you're truly humble, it actually helps in self-esteem, because you need to supplement it with another thought. Both thoughts have to go hand in hand. Add to it the confidence that with God's grace, we can achieve anything and have infinite potential, and nothing is impossible for us. Okay, so this two thoughts have to go hand in hand, and that will result in true self-esteem, not a facade, not a made up or an artificial or a genetically modified GMO, like they say, right? Kind of a thing. Now you have building a real self-esteem, which is unshakable regardless of situation, circumstances that you are on. Firm belief that we have infinite potential. With God's grace, we can achieve anything, because we are His eternal fragmental parts. We can achieve anything. And one of the definitions of God is, in scriptures say, one who is great. That is good. But the other important definition is one who has an ability to make others great. And how does He make others great? By making them Yogamaya Yukt. Yogamaya, that word that came twice, the two shlokas that we did. How do you become great? What makes you have an infinite potential, although you are an insignificant soul? That is because He has an ability to make you Yogamaya Yukt as well. So when you become completely purified, right, Antakaran Shuddhi happens, He actually gives you His own power, Yogamaya power. And that Yogamaya power is what we are going to talk about today. And with that power, Anything is possible. So let's get started with our today's topic of discussion with this concept. Hope the self-esteem is put into perspective now. That doesn't mean you become dumb. That all that means is you develop humility, but at the same time supplement that thought with the fact that you have an infinite potential. You can do anything and everything is possible with God's grace, of course. Okay, now let's get started. What are you going to start with? Okay, we'll come back to this. Now, who is Radha Tattva? We'll watch a short video later. Krishnena aradhyate iti Radha. Now, we worship God, whoever your Ishtadev is. Now, what does God do? Okay, whom God worships is the Radha Tattva. And why would God worship that? Okay, that is what we will try to understand today. Okay, as you see, God is holding the feet of somebody. Okay, that is who Radha Tattva is. Let's get started. So, the Radha Tattva itself, see, Anirvachaniyam Radha Swarupam. It's definitely not a matter of form of Radha is indescribable. Okay, I'm just putting that disclaimer to begin with. Indescribable, not a subject of mind, speech, or intellect. Okay, I don't even have the authority to talk about it. Okay, but at least from a scriptural references, however best we can try to comprehend this concept, we'll try to do that. We'll never be able to, it's not something you can describe. Okay, and when we'll try to get into the depths of this concept, you'll understand why. But at least we can try to scratch the surface a little to, at least have this knowledge at the back of our mind that Radhe Radhe is not just like any other thing, okay, to do. And why, we will see that. Now, Kartum akartum anyatha kartum samartha saha Ishvara. The definition of God is he who can do, cannot do, can do anything and can do nothing, and he who has all rights. He can do anything and everything and make impossible possible. That is who God is. Now, if your name is Suresh, you are present here. Can Suresh be present somewhere else? Suresh cannot be present at two places at the same time. But for God, can we limit him? Of course not. That is kartum akartum anyatha kartum samarth. If Ramesh is small, then Ramesh cannot be big. Now God is known as Aninyor Nyan Mahato Mahan. He's smaller than the smallest because he's permeating every atom of this universe and bigger than the biggest. Now how can you have these two contradictory attributes simultaneously? That is who God is. Now God is pervading everywhere. He's localized in our heart, and yet he can take on an avatar at the same time. How is it possible? All this is made possible through his Yogamaya Shakti. Okay, that is the significance of, and it's a hiding veil as well. Now, God, one of the names for God is Dashanguli. Although he's energizing Maya, but he's not implicated by Maya. He stays away from Maya. Although he's residing within us, but he's still away from us. We don't have his perception. So he's called Dashanguli. Dashanguli means he's always about 10 fingers away from everything. He's there and yet away. It's like, now you'll say, how's it if he has permeated everything? Just think of it hypothetically like somebody's out in the rain, but have a small layer of raincoat around them. He's not touched by it. So Maya cannot come, or Maya cannot even face God. He's away from that as well. So that hiding veil, what hide God from us, why we are not able to perceive him, that veil is, see, first of all, it's a two-step journey for us. First, we have to conquer Maya with his grace. And after that, his Yogamaya power can still hide him. That is how powerful Yogamaya power is. We'll look at it. So that hiding veil, it's like he's hidden from us, is happening through Yogamaya power. And the other aspect of yoga is the impossible possible, and all the karmas that he logs for us, that supercomputer that God has, that big Hadoop, I don't know what kind of technology that is. That technology is enabled by his Yogamaya power again. Okay, we call it big data, analytics and all that stuff. Our analytics are limited. It is prone to data bias and data sampling error. For God, it's not at all biased at all, right? For us, it's very difficult to remember what we were doing or thinking last week. God not just knows that what we were thinking and doing last week, but last year, 10 years back, previous lifetime and all the lifetime, not just for us, but for everybody in this creation. Now, what enables him to do such an outstanding job without any error whatsoever? That supercomputer is Yogamaya power of God. Okay. So hope I'm trying to put it into perspective, and it's a good build-up. Okay, now Yogamaya, and what is the similarity, or what is the connection between Yogamaya power and Radha Tattva is what we are going to talk about. So the supercomputer, the whale, it's whale, right? It's not, I think I'm getting my pronunciation right. Preetiji, you can give me a thumbs up. It's a whale, right? Okay, good. So let's look at the energies of God now. Okay, so God has three main energies. Now, when we say three main energies, we are qualifying it by saying main. That means that he has actually God has infinite energies. We cannot limit his energies to 2, 3, 4, 5 or anything. He has Hari Kathanand, Hari Shakti Anand. Basically, he has infinite energies and he has infinite stories and he has taken infinite avatars. But for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of understanding, we simplify that conversation. So we say 24 avatars, we say three main energies. And for us, right now, three main energies is all that we need to know. Okay. When we will go to higher levels of realization, maybe another set of energies will be revealed to us as well. But for now, let's say he has three main energies that we need to be knowing or understanding. What are those? One is his Maya energy, the one which is tormenting us, right? Which we all are infatuated with. We have fallen in love with, right? Lifetime after lifetime, we are serving this energy. That is his Maya energy, his Atarangi or his external or his inferior energy. Second is his Jeev Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, the borderline or the marginal power. That is who we are. We are part of his Jeev Shakti or his borderline energy. And the third is his Swarupa Shakti, Parashakti, Yogamaya Shakti, which is called the Yogamaya Shakti or Swarupa Shakti as well. So the Yogamaya power, that it's his internal energy. So God, like us, we also have like energy, right? We don't have like, we have a field that is created around us based on the vibes we radiate. God has these three energies: external energy, which is Maya, his Tatastha Shakti, like who we are, part of eternal fragmental parts of his Tatastha Shakti. And third is his Swarupa Shakti, which is also called his Yogamaya power. It's his internal energy. And anything for us to do anything that in order for us to accomplish any task, we need energy. And same thing is with God as well. So that energy part of it, right? There is an energy and there is an energetic. Energy is subservient to energetic. Energy is under the control of energetic. That is how the relationship is established. So there is energetic and then there is energy. So that Swarupa Shakti is what is the Yogamaya or the Parashakti or the Ataranga Shakti of God. All three are same. Okay. Now this Swarupa Shakti has three aspects to it. God is also called Satchidanand. One of the names for God is Satchidanand. A lot of people name their kids Satchidanand as well. So God is, yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
You said that energy is subservient to energetic, but in the case of Yogamaya, it is like both ways.
You are jumping the gun. We'll get into that. Okay, we'll get from material to spiritual and how the fundamentals and those goes. So let's look at that concept. Okay, so for now, let's understand the energetic possesses the energy, right? So energy is subservient to the energetic. Let's move on. So the energy right now has three aspects to it. We'll get into that concept. That is a deeper concept. We'll get into that and we'll discuss that in great detail as well. So Swarup Shakti has Satchidanand, three aspects to it. And that is why God is called Satchidanand, right? Eternity and perfect knowledge and perfect bliss. These three aspects: infinite knowledge, infinite bliss, and eternity. Right. So this God is called Satchidanand because of it. And even God is called Chidanand because Sat emanates from Chit. And if you simply call God Anand, Chidanand, or simply called Anand, that is also perfect for God, okay? Because Anand encapsulates pretty much everything. He's an ocean of bliss. And the essence of Anand is called Haladini Shakti. Okay, essence of Anand is Haladini Shakti. We'll get to that too. And this Shakti is the supreme divine bliss or the supreme power of God. Okay, the supreme power of God. So God has a Swarupa Shakti. Swarup Shakti has three aspects, Satchidanand, and out of them, Anand is the supreme. And the supreme, the essence of that supreme energy is called Haladini Shakti of God. Okay. It is a bit like this. Shakti and Shaktiman Sambandh. Sambandh means the relationship is like this. Can you separate milk from whiteness? We cannot. Have you seen anybody, milk which is, you can bereft or deprive milk of its whiteness? You cannot. So milk and whiteness, they go hand in hand. Similarly, can you separate water from wetness? You cannot. Can you have a dry water? You cannot. Water, wetness, they go hand in hand. Milk, whiteness, they go hand in hand. Can you separate fire from heat and light? You cannot. It's part of it, right? It basically, they go hand in hand. The existence is goes hand in hand, basically. Yes, Manisha, you had a question?
Radhe Radhe Manisha ji.
Radhe Radhe, Manisha ji.
Radhe Radhe. Is this Yoga Maya is the same who born in with Yashoda Maya's home, like
Yogamaya
at the time of
Yogamaya takes avatar as well. And I'm getting to get into that concept. See, for us, Yogamaya Shakti, like God, basically, it can manifest as well in different avatars. So we'll get into that, right? So yes, the Yogamaya that Akashvani that happened, that was Yogamaya Shakti of God only. In fact, Yogamaya Shakti had manifested in multiple avatars during that avatar kal. I think as Subhadra as well, that as Durga she manifested, when that girl, and then also I think Yamuna was also part of Ansha avatar of Yogamaya Shakti only. So we'll talk about that. But yes, you are right. So let's understand that Shakti, Shaktiman, they are inseparable. Milk and whiteness are inseparable. Water and wetness are inseparable. Fire, heat and light are inseparable. Similarly, Shakti, Shaktiman are inseparable. So that means the Yogamaya Shakti and God, they are inseparable. They are always together. Their existence, you cannot separate it out actually. Now within Swarupa Shakti, we said that these Swarupa Shakti is the highest power of God, right? And within Swarupa Shakti, the Haladini Shakti is the essence of that Swarupa Shakti. Swarupa Shakti is coming from the Haladini Shakti, which is called divine bliss. It's the essence of that. And the essence of that is Premanand. Premanand is the highest gift God can bestow to a soul. Okay, the divine love, so to say. So through divine love enables Haladini Shakti, that enables its Swarupa Shakti. This is how the hierarchy goes. And the supreme essence of Premanand, the peak of Premanand is called Mahabhav. And the personified essence, now personified is the key word. If it can be personified, that is who Yogamaya power or Divine Mother Radha is. Okay, that is the understanding of. So you can understand. It's like the essence of the essence of the essence of the essence is Radha Tattva. So that is how, see, if you had, we don't have that power. Let's say your personality or your energies have a lot of shade, good energy, bad energy, high energy, this. But let's say your most purest, most loving, most compassionate, most forgiving, most merciful form exists, and you could personify it. If we had that ability to do that, first of all, we don't have that. We are not as pure, right? But God is, and if he could distill that power and personify it, that is who Radha is. Okay. Radha is not an ordinary village girl who had some kind of a affair with Krishna during their avatar kal, and people worry why they did not get married. I mean, why? What's the need of getting married? They are eternal associates. Okay. She's not an ordinary. Radha is an essence of the Supreme Personality itself. That is who the Radha Tattva is. We'll go into more details. Okay. So this is who Radha Tattva is. So when we talk about Krishna, we talk about the planetary expansions of Krishna, Mahavishnu or Narayan, his forearm formed. End of the day, the Yogamaya power is governing all of them. Now, Shakti Shaktiman Sambandh, we understand. God is not multiple. The Vishnu form, Narayan form, Shiv form, everything is his own extensions in a different mood. That's all, right? In Shiv form, basically he's in an official form. In Mahavishnu form, he's in official form to govern all the universes. In Narayan form, he's in your Sankhya Bhav, where you can worship him as, those four Bhuja form. But in Krishna form, he hides all his Bhagavata and simply does Prem Dan. And in Radha is the essence that enables that. Okay, all merciful, compassionate form. Now you would say, where is the, that female aspect coming in? Now God has that ability to multiply the ras. He personifies the other form as well. He said, okay, everybody has a father. They will say, don't have a mother. So he's great. Okay, let me take another form as well as a Radha Tattva. So there's absolutely no difference between Krishna and Radha as such. Both are same. And yet in divine pastimes, they take on different forms and do all the leelas as if they are separate. Okay, that is just a pastime. But technically, both are same. Okay, in Bhakti Shatak, I'm going to put that reference as well. The very first Bhakti Shatak verse from Maharaji says, Advitiya ek tattva hai Radha. Radha Krishna Pradhan. Basically, Advitiya means both are non-different from each other. So this discrimination that Krishna is different, Radha, that itself is not correct. Both are same. Let's understand that. It is the same as milk and whiteness, you cannot separate. Water and wetness, you cannot separate. Heat, fire and light, you cannot separate. Radha, Krishna, you cannot separate. They are eternally united. So there is no question of them being separated at all. Right? People say, why didn't they marry? They actually, in Avatar, divine pastimes, they do different things. When sometimes they come as Ram, Sita, some as Lakshmi Narayan, sometimes Shiv, Parvati, sometimes all simultaneously. Sometimes Radha comes first, Krishna comes later. Sometimes Krishna comes first, Radha comes later. Sometimes they get married. In fact, in our Manvantar, only in one of the Avatar Kals, they got married. And who got them married? Brahmaji was the Pandit in that marriage. So all these are divine leelas. They cannot be dissected through the mundane intellect. The way we look at a boy girl, they are away from each other and one is saying, we cannot actually analyze it through that intellect. They are eternally united. Okay, there's no question of them being separated at all. And they do divine pastimes to multiply the ras for us. Okay. Yes, Himanshu, you wanted to add something before I go further?
Yes, Radhe Radhe Himanshu ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. I'm just recalling one video from Maharaji where he said that like Shiv Bhagwan, like when Parvati was there, it was actually only Shiv Bhagwan, the same roop he created, its own roop, and he was like so. Like once we understand that everything can't be actually, as you said, like can't be evaluated with our intellect, that is the point when we actually will start understanding it is all Leela and there is only one divine God and it has created two roops where one is the energy, which there is another video where Swamiji says the power, I don't have any powers, the power is you, Radha. So I need you to do everything. So it's like the same entity is being divided into two.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, if you take the Yogamaya power out, okay, power cannot leave. First of all, energy cannot leave the energetic. But in some of the manifestations, it is latent. Latent in the sense that when it is in Brahman Swarup, all pervading Swarup, God has three aspects. We have spoken about that topic. If not, you can go check it out on our portal. Brahma Jeev, basically, we have spoken about Brahman, which is the all-pervading aspect of God, Paramatma, who's seated within, and Bhagwan, who takes an avatar. When God's Yogamaya power is latent, which is in Brahman Swarup, then he becomes Nirakar, Nirgun, Nirvishesh Brahma. He cannot grace. So if you minus Yogamaya power from God, he becomes Nirgun, Nirakar Brahma, which is the all-pervading aspect of God. You plus it, plus means it's always there. But when the manifest, the power it's like the latent, something becomes latent, like in matchstick, fire is there, but it is latent. Only when you rub it against something, the fire will come out. Similarly, in Brahman aspect, the Yogamaya power is latent. It's only in the Bhagavan aspect, it is in full glory. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Actually, I came across this question today while I was discussing about Radhashtami. Kids asked me who was older in terms of their Leela in Dwapar Yuga, who was born first and how much older was, they were saying Radharani was older. So is it important for us to know these details? Like, because that's one question, and second, the answer to that question, if it is important.
Tell them that okay, in Avatar Kal, of course, the physical age and biological age, and technically we are all the same age as Radha Krishna, right? But yeah, in Avatar Kal doesn't matter. I think in that case, probably Radha was born a few years earlier than Krishna, I believe. But doesn't matter actually to get into those technicalities, right? See, the key here is to understand from Leelas, rather to dissect them and try to do some intellectual gymnastics around it. It will not take us very far. But let's understand the Mahabhav, the personified essence that I spoke about. Now let's look at from a bliss standpoint. What does it mean for us? Now there is the highest level of bliss that God is capable of giving, right? Or has it. It's called a Nivrit Nikunj. Okay. It's called Nivrit Nikunj. It is reserved only for Radharani. Okay. Nobody can get there. We can't. In fact, Madhanakya Mahabhav, in which Radharani can get, even Krishna doesn't fathom the depth of it. And he takes avatars from time to time just to get a feel of it. I mean, we'll say, how can he not understand his own self that he has created? I don't know. With his Yoga Maya power, he has that. But he's created such a perfect, extension of himself, his power, that the Radharani's love, they say, it's like you have smoke, right, around fire. And around smoke, there is a haze, small haze. I think there are 3 or 4 zones in chemistry or biology we had run. I've forgotten about it. So there is a 3 luminous zone, and then there is a fire around it, and then there is a smoke, and then there's a layer haze around it. That haze is just a small thing. That is called abhas. Now, what Radharani, what she feels for Krishna, the virah aspect, even if it can come out like a haze, right? This whole creation will burn into ashes. That is how strong it is. Okay, in the Leela, God is a perfectionist, right? He does the role to perfection. So when he gets into the pure emotions and the virah and we can't even understand those intensities of those feelings. So let's, for today's discussion sake, understand Nibhrit Nukunj, the highest level of bliss that anybody can. It's only reserved for Radharani. Those are only reserved for the pastimes of Radha Krishna, nobody else. Nobody can reach that stage. Then what happens is, next is Nikunj Ras. That is reserved for Ashtamahasakis. Okay, there are 8 associates of Radharani, and that is Nikunj Ras is reserved for Radha Krishna and the Ashtasakis. Souls cannot get there. It's just a reserved or a privilege. Okay, top 2 privileges we understood. Then you come to the Kunj Ras, where souls can get that ras too, right? Maharas happened. This is the topmost ras a soul can get. Possibility of divine love a soul can get to Maharas. It is called Kunjaras. Now, below that comes now if we look at it this way, now we had Bhakti saints who came and gave some ras on Prithvi Lok as well, right? We go back, we look at Meera, by Nanak, Tukaram, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so many saints came. So that Bhakti ras, Bhakti saints, when they come, this is how it goes. So Nibrit Nikunj, you see so many drops, which is reserved. A semblance of that comes in Nikunj Ras. A semblance of that comes in Kunj Ras. Semblance is actually given to us by saints, in terms of, Brajaras, people who got to participate. That is why that itself is so intoxicating. Okay. So from this ras, we have to go, at most, we can go till Kunj Ras, but that is a huge privilege. That is the possibilities of divine love or intoxication that we are capable of achieving. The divine intoxication, not the one that we get from tequila and other intoxicants in this world. This is the very highest power of bliss that we're talking about, that God is capable of giving us. But let's understand the topmost is reserved for Radha, Rani, then Ashtamahasakis, then Kunjaras, and then the Bhakti saints. The few drops of that they spread around when they came, right? Tulsidas and Nanak, Tukaram, all that. And that itself was so much relished by people around. And that is what we are trying to get to a relish as well as in the path of bhakti and devotion. But we need to continue to work on ourselves to be able to relish it more and more. Okay, this is how it goes. Let's move on. Now, let's tackle a few questions here. So hopefully now, if you are wondering where is Radha mentioned in scriptures, I'll give you all the references. Okay, tomorrow session, I'll reserve it for that. What does the Thur Ved says? What does it says? It is referred at a lot of places. Okay, Swamiji has done all that when I'll present that tomorrow for you. But today, for today's sake, I can take a few questions and maybe tackle a few questions which might be there playing in your mind. Like, for example, Mahabharata informs us that Krishna left Radha and then never got married. Okay, that's one question people usually ask. Then they say, if Radha is Krishna's highest devotee, then how come Krishna is shown serving her? Right? That is probably the question. I think Sandeep, you were asking, right? Then if Radha is completely surrendered to Krishna, then why does she get upset with Krishna? In Leelas, you will see Radharani actually gets upset with Krishna. Similar to the politics that we have here, there is politics in Golok also. They do a lot of Leelas, and Radharani gets upset with Krishna, and Krishna goes out of the way to, woo her back and stuff like that. So why does that happen? So we'll tackle some of these questions. Plus, there's scriptural references and more depths getting into the Radha Tattva itself. We'll explore that. But for now, we'll take a pause. I know I gave a lot of information. We can take a few questions and get the discussion going. Yeah. Yes, Monica.
Monica ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe, everybody. So, Nitin ji, Asht Bharyas, right? Asht
Mahasakis.
So Asht Bharyas are the 8 wives of Krishna during his Dwarka.
I think he had 16,108 wives, right?
The eight main ones like Satyabhama, Rukmani, and Jaman, not Jaman, sorry. Jamanti, yes, Jamanti. So like how these bhavs are there, where do we, I mean, people like us who have Madhurya Bhav for Krishna, where will we get when we, let's say, manage to get to Golok or somewhere?
At most you get to the Kunjaras, but let's understand this. Within those ras also, it's like better, and all those levels are possible. But let's, for a broader discussion standpoint, understand there are 3 kinds of gopis or Madhurya Bhavs possible. The first is called Sadharani Rati. Sadharani Rati is somebody who is loving Krishna for their own sake. Okay. 100% for their own sake. Kubja, for that matter. That is called Sadharani Rati. Mirabai also, they said that was Sadharani Rati. I don't know about the technicalities, but they said that was also Sadharani Rati. Then comes the Samanjasya Rati. Samanjasya Rati is the second level of gopis, which is 50-50. 50% for you, 50% for myself, which were the queens of Shri Krishna. Okay, like Rukmini and all the queens. And then comes Samartharati, which is 0-100. Nothing for myself, everything for your sake, which were the top class gopis. And if you read Samartharati, then God is basically completely enslaved to you at that point. Now, God is your slave, then you can only imagine the possibilities, right? So the topmost prize you get for God when you have enslaved God in your love. But for you to enslave God, first you have to show that you are willing to become a slave. So this is how the principle works. So Samartharati is the topmost one. Okay, and that is why I say, if you simply do sadhana for yourself, Krishna Krishna or Narayan Narayan or Sitaram, sitting and enjoying that bliss and samadhi, you will not develop the Nishkam Bhav. Nishkam means selfless as. Then you will be selfish bhakti, Kam Bhakti, Sakam Bhakti, that they say. For you to develop Nishkam Bhakti, you have to do seva. It will take longer, but it will take you to the higher bliss. Because now you are sacrificing even your sadhana and doing it for the pleasure of God. Okay, that is why seva is very important on the path of spirituality, because it will help you develop Nishkam Bhavs. And Radharani, we are saying, if she is completely selfless, completely surrendered to God and the topmost devotee who gets a Nivrit Kuj, because God has himself created in his own form, right? Then why does she basically fight with Krishna at times and make him work for her as well at times? Okay, we'll talk about that concept too. Let's take
just one more question. So these Asht Sakhis are also expansion of Krishna? Radharani.
Extensions of Radharani only. I'll explain that concept. In fact, if you look at this, right, it is said Sitaram, Lakshmi Narayan, right? And then basically the Shakti is revered more than the Shaktiman. It comes first. So either you go directly approach your father, or you approach it through the mother. And through the mother, it becomes more sweeter, because when you say Radhe Radhe, Krishna actually starts running towards you. But he stops because he can't reveal himself as yet, right? And you don't have that purity as yet for the Radha name. And that is how it goes. And these Ashtamaha Sakhis, they are actually the, what do you call, even Rukmini for that matter, they are all emanating from Radha only. They are Ansha avatars of Radha only. Durga for that matter. We'll talk about this concept too, like, Krishna, Shiv, Narayan, Vishnu, they are all the planetary, the same entity. Similarly, Sita, Kali, Parvati, they are all part, Durga, they are all part of Radha Tattva only. Radha Tattva, other in the loving form, and other are planetary expansions of her only in different mood. That's all. Entity is just one.
Thank you. Radha.
So Ashtamasaki, if you're thinking you want to take their seat, sorry, that's not possible. If that was your question, okay, it's already reserved. It's already taken. Okay, yes, Shwetaji.
Radhe Radhe Shwetaji.
Actually, Radhe Radhe, everybody, I had the same question. Who are the Ashtamaha Sakhis? And Nibrid Nikunj Ras is only for Radharani, right?
Right, it's reserved for Radharani.
Okay.
Nobody can do that.
So can you name those Ashtamaha Sakhis, please, Nitinji?
I'll bring it to tomorrow's session. It will take time because they are experts basically in knowing how to do Krishna and Radha. But
Okay,
yes,
thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Shakha and all, and they are experts in one thing. Tomorrow I'll bring that as well if you're interested in knowing that. Yes, Annapurna. Yes, sorry.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, I just want to know that, Nibrit Nikunj is reserved for Radha, Nikunj is for Ashtamaha Sakhis, and whatever comes from Kunj, that goes to Bhakti saints, right? Few drops of that.
It's like semblance of some, not
Nothing
it's
comes
like,
from Nibrit Nikunj, and only from Kunj it has to come, right?
of course, I mean, it will be like few drops from, and then the next. We cannot get to the, I'm going to tell you that what Nibrit Nikunj has, nobody has access. Even Krishna cannot fathom, what goes on inside Radha, and he takes on avatar at times to understand the depth of that love. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was one of his avatars. Just to understand that, he cannot fathom that depth as well. It's very difficult to understand, right? It's my own expansion I've created, and I'm not able to understand that depth, but this is how God, I don't know what kind of possibilities he creates for himself, but this is how it goes. Okay, so let's for now take it on face value. Maybe one day we'll try to.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that whatever comes from Nikunj, and it goes to Kunj, and from Kunj it comes to Bhakti saints, but nothing comes from Nibrit because it is reserved for Radha, right?
Yes.
Well, but it can come from Nikunj,
Yes.
from Sakhis.
Yes, you can apply a filter like that. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Anything that way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, let me take a few questions more around this concept. So first of all, I hope this question is answered once and for all, that they never got married. In fact, Krishna gave 100 years of Vira to Radha. 100 years, not a small matter, 100 years. Okay, and to gopis also, who were selfless lovers. And he was happily staying, not happily, I would say, he was staying, keeping his queens happy in all the palaces, and they did not get that Vira at all. And the most perfect, the devotees of gopis, they got 100 years of Vira. But with Radha and all, they are ever united. Actually, in Vira, you are always united. When you meet somebody, you are united in that moment because you're feeling good. In Vira, you are always united. Okay, these are advanced concepts because you're always absorbed, your mind is absorbed there. When Uddhav went and he said, you keep talking about Krishna, and he's sitting there in Dwarka so far away. He said, really, let me show you Krishna. He's here, he's everywhere. So you're never united, you're ever united in that consciousness. So these are advanced concepts. I mean, theoretically, at least we can speculate, but there's no concept of Radha being away from Krishna even for a second, okay? Because energetic sambandh is like that. In divine Leelas, they may do that, but we have to understand it in perspective. Who is Radha Tattva? Okay, Radha is not an ordinary thing. Radha is like whom Krishna does worship. When you meditate, you think about Krishna or your Ishtadev. When Krishna meditates, he thinks about Radha. In fact, every pore of his body, Radha is coming out. Okay, that is what Radha Tattva is. And they say र की नुक्ता अगर राधे में ना होती तो राधे श्याम आधे श्याम रह जाते. Okay, so that is how powerful Radha Tattva is. And when you say Radhe Radhe, actually Radhe Radhe means Radhe Radhe Shyam se mila de. This is the actual understanding about it. And Radha Krishna, highest devotee, Krishna is shown serving her. Now, this concept we will talk about a little more technically. See, when you energize something, you automatically become subservient to it. For example, we are serving our soul. Right? Our hierarchy, we are serving our soul. Soul is asking for happiness, and your senses body is working for it. Your senses are working for your mind because your mind controls your senses. Right? So this is how the hierarchy gets established, and you're working for your soul because the soul is asking for happiness, but unfortunately you don't know you are a soul. You're working for the body, thinking body and mind. If my mind feels happy, I'll be happy, right? It doesn't work that way. And then the soul becomes subservient to super soul because super soul is giving energy to the soul, but we have forgotten that relationship. So instead of serving the super soul, we are serving ourselves, or the Maya is inferior energy, and soul of super soul is Radha Tattva. But now when you enter the spiritual realm, the relationship does not matter. It is a symmetric relationship. You serve, the energizer and energetic energizer, that relationship gets established. That doesn't matter who's serving whom. Both want to serve each other because they understand the higher principle that, and even while serving other, they are thinking of others' bliss only. I'll give you a very small example of Jhulan Leela. To understand. So if you want to take a swing, you want to enjoy, let's say you go with your wife or with your spouse or with your friend, and you want to enjoy the swing, you will say, okay, I'll sit on the swing and you give me this thing, right? Because you want to enjoy. But when this Leela unfolds between Radha and Krishna, why do they take this place? Because Krishna knows that her pleasure is in serving me. So that's why he takes a position, I will sit. And Radha takes the position of sitting on the swing because she knows his pleasure is in serving me. And that is why they are taking that position. Not because they want to be served and they want to feel happy. So the paradigm shift happens. And that is the relationship there. Okay, it's in giving one receives. So Radha wants to sit, not because she wants to enjoy, because she knows that my Aradhya Krishna's happiness is in serving me. He will get more pleasure serving me as opposed to getting served. So she said, I'm going to sit on the swing. And Krishna does the same because he knows Radha's pleasure is in serving me and not getting served herself. So he said, no, I'm going to sit. That is why they fight in those leelas. And why does Radha fight with Krishna? It's like, if let's say you are being served sweet dish after sweet dish after sweet dish, right? You will be bored. Now, in order for you to enjoy the sweet dish properly, they will give you something salty in between, maybe a chutney in between, right? Now you can enjoy it. And today only I was having, there were 2 desserts that were served, cake, because Radha Ashtami celebration was there, and halwa. Now I ate halwa, and now it's like sugar is already, who's going to have cake? But you want to relish the cake, and then I had a few salty things. So similarly, in order to multiply the ras, not duplicate, but to enhance the ras, Radha does that, right? We also do that in life, right? We throw a tantrum to somebody so that we get their attention and then that person feels better. So Radharani does the same with Krishna. Okay, we don't fight it that way, somebody saying no, but sometimes people do, right? They just put on a face just because they want somebody's attention. And then that person also enjoys, wooing that person. Oh, why are you upset? And getting the flowers or whatever the case may be. Radharani does the same to enhance the bliss of Krishna. Okay, so those are all leelas. Actually, she's perfectly surrendered to Krishna. That is how that principle goes. It's completely fundamentally different from how we look at love in this world. We approach somebody for our own sake. We want to get served. But in spiritual realm, it's the other way around. You want to serve. And in return, you automatically get much more than you would have gotten otherwise. So this is a relationship in divine pastimes that the energy and energetic have established amongst themselves. Okay, to set a role model or a what you call that, a baseline for how it needs to be truly selfless and to love others. We don't have that concept as yet because we know only selfish love. But as we keep on progressing in devotion, these concepts will start becoming more clearer. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, couple of things. So one regarding this conversation only. So this symmetric service relationship between the energy and energetic is true only for Yogmaya and God, right? Like if we talk
No,
about
no,
Maya and God.
even with soul and God, because now we are entering the spiritual realm, even with soul and God also. God wants to serve the devotee. Devotee wants to serve the God, right? You are just changing the model there. God actually wants to serve the devotee. There are enough precedents where God has come in and served his devotee for years and years and years together. So this relationship actually, when you enter the spiritual realm, that relationship takes dominance because now it is based out of pure love. At that point, doesn't matter. In fact, Ram Bhagwan and Hanuman, in the Parikashtha, even of Dasya Bhav, the master forgets who is Das, Das forgets who is master, he's sitting on his head, and all those kind of things happen. So those boundaries, they melt in love. Gyan melts in love at that point.
So even for Maya, this is the same way.
Yeah, God doesn't want to see Maya as a inert, inferior energy of God, right? So God wants to serve Maya. Is that your question is?
Like I'm just trying to understand this. Like how does the bidirectionality work in this context?
When I say in this context, if you look at it, it starts from his marginal Shakti onwards, if you ask me, right? I mean, maybe God is serving Maya also, right? If you look at it, he's energizing Maya. The very existence of Maya is sustained by God himself. So in a way, God is serving Maya also. If God removes himself from Maya, Maya's existence is lost, right? So he's by default serving everyone, even without that entity asking for it. But then when you get into the bhakti ras or the depths of the personified form of God, then he's willing to serve you directly at that point.
And there are a few questions in the chat. What is the name of the abode of Radharani? Which Rasik saints get it when they go to Golok, which is Krishna's abode?
Krishna and Radha, when Krishna, again, there is no difference between them, right? So Radharani, I think she has not taken an abode for herself. She lives along with his energetic. Okay, so Brajras is what you get entitled. That's where you can see the Radharas as well, right? Braj Bhumi, within Golok, the actual Braj there. That's where Radharas and Krishna. So basically, from a God standpoint, Krishna devours Radha. So Shyam devours Gaur Ras. And Gaur is Radha, she devours Krishna Ras. But as a soul, we are lucky because we can enjoy both the Ras, Yugal Ras. Sham Ras, Gaur Ras together, we can enjoy. And that Ras is like, the more you drink, the more thirsty you become. I don't know what thing they put like in Coke, right? It doesn't extinguish your thirst when you drink Coke when you are thirsty, but it's not like Coke, okay? It's a much more superior divine rust that we're talking about. More you devour, the more your thirst increases. So as a soul, Krishna has made it even better for us by creating Radha Tattva, because now we can devour both the things. Krishna can do one, Radha can do one, but as a soul, we can do both. So we are at an advantage in that sense, right? So that is again part of his mercy. Yeah.
And
Okay.
also, okay, there was just one thing I wanted to mention. I heard it from Maharajji that Daksh had, I think, granddaughters which were Mansi, Putri, and all three of them ended up becoming the mothers of Parvati ji and Radharani, and respectively, basically all the three. That was very interesting story. Maybe I'll get more details and we
Yeah,
can share.
Brahmaji was creating Manasi progeny initially. Daksh story was there with Sati.
So basically,
There is a story, you can bring it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Any link further to Himanshu ji and Pratyusha ji? So maybe Pratyusha ji first. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Hello, Radhe Radhe. My question is, why, like if Radha and Krishna both are same, then why we are giving so much importance to Radha, and what do we like? What do we get? So, like what?
Yeah, why are we giving? So we said, right, the way to father is more sweeter through mother. So now we are going directly to the entity whom Krishna worships as. In fact, I'll tell you one more principle here. When we worship Krishna in Vaidhi Bhakti, it's only Krishna, right? But when you'll reach the peak of Vaidhi Bhakti, okay, and let me say that at the expense of telling you very clearly, like in ISKCON, The focus is on Krishna. But when you reach the peak of Krishna Bhakti, they will tell you that your Bhakti is not fructified until you have done the Shaktiman. The Shakti has to be brought into the mix as well. Okay, but when you do ground up the Shakti Bhakti alone, it's faster, sweeter, and you're tapping into Mother. Mother is more compassionate than Father can be. It is said that Father is still not, is strict at times. But when you go through Mother, you get a little bit of leeway around it, right? It's like Krishna says that, the soul has done these karmas, so he deserves this. But when Radharani, he simply twitches her eyebrow and looks back at him, he said, okay, whatever you say. That is the beauty of going through Mother, okay? Just to put it simply. And also, so it becomes sweeter plus faster. Okay, and of course you are tapping directly into the grace of God, right? The grace aspect, or the all compassionate, pure, loving part of God, because Radharani is all about compassion and mercy only.
So we cannot pray to any other plenary expansion of Radharani. We have to pray to her alone.
You could see there's nothing preventing you, but the rasa would vary, right? Now it's like when a child comes home, and he has a demand from the mother, and he sees his mother chiding and beating the older brother, right? He'll say, okay, let me just stay back and be a little, take my own time. But when mother is in his all pure and loving and compassionate form, he'll go and sit in the lap and do that, right? So similarly, mother is the same. Which mood you want to associate. Now, if you go to Kali Mata, that is fine, but will it invoke fear or love? You see what I'm saying? So other forms is fine. They are all the part of the same divinity. There's no discrimination as such. But you would associate with a form that is the most loving. It makes it easier for you. That's all it is. So Parvati, Kali, Sita, Lakshmi, whoever you want to go, that's perfectly okay. But then if you go to Radha, there is a benefit in the sense now you're going to the most loving form. When mother is in a good mood, that's when you're approaching her. And it just makes it easy. And when you have Ananyata means you are thinking repeatedly about mother in that form, your mind will naturally go there. If you think about mother in this form and in that form and that form, then it will be all over. Our mind is wired in a way that what you do repeatedly, it gets attached to it. Then you will not build that attachment or the depth of that attachment. That's all.
One more question. In Bhagavatam, they say that Radharani is Bhakti Devi. So her child are like Gyan and Vairagya. So what is their role coming in all of this?
What it means actually is when you have bhakti, right? You focus on bhakti, the Gyan and Vairagya would automatically come in you. They are the byproducts of that. So either you keep on accruing knowledge, okay, start reading scriptures and this and that and doing all that stuff, and then do contemplation that this world is myth, I don't have to get attached to this world and this and that. Develop dispassion based on repeated contemplation in your knowledge. Second is you do simply bhakti. Gyan will start manifesting from within. Detachment will also
First, we
start
have to do bhakti, then the other will be the natural consequence.
automatically. It's like popping in a pill. You don't worry where the pill is going. It will automatically do its job. So it's a silver bullet. Bhakti, devotion is the silver bullet. It's like a Swiss army knife. Everything that you need will be provided for when you do devotion. That's all. God has simplified it. He said, simply learn to love. Everything will fall in place. Okay. There's a Kabir Das Doha also, right? Pothi pad jag hua pandit bhai na koi, dhai akshar prem ke pade so pandit hoi. You just learn to love God. That's all is needed. There's nothing more in scriptures, right? Maharaj just explained it very clearly. You just learn to love God. That's all.
Last question. In the Sarupya moksha, we get like Krishna's form. If you have that.
Narayan's form, right? Jai
Not
Vijay, actually
Krishna's
they
form.
look exactly like Narayan as their gatekeepers. So I think they get the same roop as God.
But
Something
not
like
Krishna?
I think Krishna, I don't know, I'll have to check that. But in Sarupya, basically, you get basically, I don't know if you can actually get to Golok through that. Golok is more in the form when you want to serve God. But I can clarify it with you. My understanding was you can go to Vaikunt in the same form.
Because I somewhere read that there are multiple Krishnas for multiple gopis. So I was wondering whether there are multiple Radhas.
Same Krishna who can multiply himself. So, when he used to
Not
live
the
in
soul
Dwarka
getting that
palace,
divine body.
yeah, divine body, everybody. It's not like you are artificial Krishna and I'm the real one. Okay, no. Krishna is, he can multiply himself. In fact, there's a beautiful Leela in Bhagavatam where Narad ji, he goes around to see how does Krishna's routine looks like with his queens. So he goes to each palace one at a time and Krishna welcomes him. Hey, Narad ji, good to see you. And everywhere he's saying the same, and somewhere he's doing something, somewhere something else. It's all the same Krishna who's multiplied himself 16,108 times, right? So he's capable of doing that. Right? Swamiji tells this joke, right? People say, what kind of a God Krishna is when he has 16,108 wives. He said that is why he's God. You have problem handling one wife and he could handle 16,108 in one shot, right? So that is why he's God. Okay. All right. Questions? Please
Yes.
fill out the feedback tracker if you have more questions, because tomorrow I'm going to talk about some more scriptural references and a little more depth on this topic. So if you have any questions related to this topic, put it in the feedback tracker and I'll be happy to bring those in tomorrow's session.
Okay. Can I just make one point? It's just like we are all, our constitutional position is to serve, right? And who better than Radharani knows how to serve and please Krishna? So from that perspective also, it is the best option for us to actually pray Radharani, serve her and do her bhakti so that we can serve Krishna properly, right?
Very true. Very true. That she's the perfect servant of Krishna, and Krishna loves to serve her as well. And if we do that, of course, she's going to bestow her grace and say, in fact, it is said, you know what? And yes, I'll talk about it in tomorrow. Yeah. So Radharani's bhakti is very shrisht. It's like the best thing you can add to that Radha Tattva. In fact, when you say, when this feeling will grow into you and you truly start believing Radha, right? What is the depth of this name? You will not be able to complete this name. You will say Ra and you'll go into Stabdhovastha. In fact, it is said when you say Ra, Krishna becomes so excited to hear Dha. You might be saying one after that, okay, Ravan. But Krishna is so excited now you're going to say Dha. That is the significance of this name. It's very powerful. You simply do Radha Radha, it can transform you. And in fact, Maharajji had given this tool. He said, when you are breathing in, say Ra, and when you breathe out, say Dha. Ra, Dha, Ra, Dha. And if you do that practice for 10 days, okay, I'm still struggling to do that for continuously 10 days. He said that itself can transform your life. You take on a 10-day challenge. It's very difficult to do that with the, but as best as possible, that is the power of this name. Okay, yeah.
And there's a question from Ajit Kumar ji. We see Radha Krishna Leela in Vrindavan, but later on Shri Krishna went to Dwarika. What happened to Radharani who stayed back?
Radharani who stayed back, she was thinking about Krishna. She was shedding tears of virya for Krishna, and after 100 years she went to Kurukshetra again at the time of solar eclipse to get Krishna back, and that is how Rath Yatra, that procession started. So yeah, she was missing Krishna, I guess, but missing is divine missing, not material missing, because they are ever united always, right? But nothing happened. They are always united, and they may choose to close their pastime afterwards, but they are always united. They're not like us, right? We cannot think about it in from a material perspective. Oh my God, he left her, and what happened to her? I mean, they're always united. They're just doing the Leela. It's just like asking what happened to Sita Maiya after she decided to get inside the Bhumi Devi and Ram and all that drama that unfolded before and after, right? They are always united. They are just doing these Leelas. And God's Leelas, God, a lot of, basically we have to learn from those Leelas as opposed to be thinking about it and from a material intellect, and in due course of time, everything will click in. Yeah.
Okay. So announcements, Seva scoreboard, and then devotion segment.
Yeah, we'll have devotional segment. We'll chant some Radharani's bhajans today. I think we'll see that. I'm ready for that too. And Sandhya, I think you're going to recite something as well. Anybody else? You're welcome. But let's do the announcements, and then we'll continue on this fascinating topic tomorrow as well on Radha Tattva. It's a very, very deep topic. And I'm telling you, even though this is so what you call Radha Krishna, we would have heard about it since our childhood. But if you ask 99.9% people will not understand Radha Tattva. It's not that we understand it, but they'll not even have a basic understanding about who Radha is, right? So we are fortunate that we have gotten a spiritual master who can explain these concepts to us in the depth that it needs to be thought about. And we are indeed fortunate to know about this Tattva, because Radha Tattva is pretty profound. And we'll continue to talk more about it tomorrow. Okay, what next then?
And now, so Seva scoreboard, can I show it right now?
We'll
or-
stop here, and then we can get into our devotional segment after Seva scoreboard.
Or actually, there was one video also that I wanted to show.
Sure, go ahead.
So maybe first Seva scoreboard and then that.
Sure.
All right. So these are the scores for the last week. And Ananya team is like skyrocketing high with the sharing scores from Anita ji. And other than that, everybody has been
15,000, Anita ji, that's pretty amazing. 60, close to 16,000.
yeah, that's
Very nice. Great going.
And then but others are also like all the 4 teams were active in the last week, which is pretty good. So cheers to all. And enthusiastic is the one which is leading immediately after Ananya, then selfless, Vinamr. So yeah, and I guess for likes, Manisha Bhati ji has been leading. Shares, of course, Anita ji. Comments, Anita ji. Community portal, Samantha Kumar Patel ji. And content creation, I see all enthusiastic team members. Seema, all Singh sisters, and yeah, team. Komal ji too, wonderful.
Nice, very nice. Great going. Very hard.
Yes.
A lot of work.
Cheers to all the Seva teams and look forward to more and more
We have
names.
a fantastic presentation coming up this Thursday as well, right?
Last but not the least.
Awesome.
Yes. And okay, next this video okay. So because of it being Radha Rani's birthday celebration, this is a very cute video which I thought we could see.
Sure. Okay, so
share the sound.
It's down below the video. The sound thing is there. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Today this is my vision book and I will see bhajan. Hari bol, bol hari bol. Mukand maat bol. Hari bol, hari bol. Bol hari bol, hari bol, hari bol, hari bol, hari bol. Radhe Radhe everyone. Today
Yes, so she's none other than one of our Bal Mukund kid representative. So we have an Instagram page called JK Yog Bal Mukund. So there are cultural values imparted to kids all across the world through this program. So please check that out. Check out that Instagram page and support the great work these little kids are also doing.
Right. She's by the way Radha, is one of our friends' daughter, Prashant, who was in Phoenix with us. Okay. So if we have Phoenix folks, so you know that might have met Prashant as well. It's her daughter. Thank you for showing that beautiful video. Are we good to go into the devotional segment?
Quickly announcements. I think one announcement I really wanted to say right now because it's time sensitive. So there is an opportunity for everybody to undertake a yoga teachers training program. It's a virtual program that anybody can attend from the comfort of their home. It's a 200-hour yoga teachers training program, and it is based upon the values that we are learning here. So it's Prem Yoga basically. So I have shared the link. I'll reshare it, but please consider joining it if you can. It starts from September 29th. So that's the main announcement. And feedback tracker, I've already shared the link. So please fill in the feedback tracker. Yes, I think now we can move into the devotional segment, Nitinji.
Sure, let's move on to the devotional segment with some of the bhajans.
Swatiji, Sandhyaji. So I'll take Swatiji first.
Sure.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I'm unable to unmute her. Nitinji, do you want to try?
Yeah, so let's move on.
Okay. Sandhyaji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Vrindavana Chanda Vrindavana Chanda Anadhanadha Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Anadhanadha Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Nanda Kumara Navanita Chora Radhe Govinda Nanda Kumara Navanita Chora Radhe Govinda Vrindavana Chanda Vrindavana Chanda Anadhanadha Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Anadhanadha Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Yashoda Bala Yadukula Tilaka Radhe Govinda Yashoda Bala Yadukula Tilaka Radhe Govinda Brindavana Chanda Brindavana Chanda Anadhanada Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Anadhanada Dina Bandhu Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, very nice, Sandhyaji. Thank you so much for reciting this soulful bhajan on the occasion of Radha Ashtami. Thank you very much for that. Loved it. Who's next?
Swatiji, I'll just get back to her. Probably it's working now. Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Yeah, thank you, Nitinji, for your support, whatever you helped me. Thank you for that also. I'll sing some lines on this, Radharani. Shri Radhe 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 Pran Dhan Radhe 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 Jeevan Dhan Radhe 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 Param Dhan Radhe 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 Param Dhan Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Ratore Man Chin Chin Naam Radhe Ratore Man Chin Chin Naam Radhe Dharo ne man nish din Dhyan Radhe Dharo re man nish din Dhyan Radhe Shri Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Rudan karu le Naam Radhe Rudan karo le Naam Radhe Shri Radhe 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 Na bhulo pan man आधे Radhe Radhe Na bhulo pal आधे Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe 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 Naam Mahanit Raha नामी राधे नाम महनित रहा, नामी राधे बड़ो राधे ते, नाम राधे बड़ो राधे ते, नाम राधे श्री राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे दिव्य चित चिन्मय है, नाम राधे दिव्य चिन्मय है, नाम राधे श्री राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे भरोसा तोरा भारी, राधे राधे भरोसा तोरा भारी, राधे राधे श्री राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे कृपालु सुधीलो, अब तो राधे कृपालु सुधीलो, अब तो राधे श्री राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे श्री राधे राधे राधे, राधे राधे. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Swati ji. Beautiful, very nice. Great way to bring the glories, Radharani, in the auspicious occasion of Radhashtami. So thank you for that. Who's next? See new hands too.
Manish ji.
Radhe Radhe Manish.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, and am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and everybody. I will try this. Hopefully, so. Jai Radha Madhav, Jai Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhav, Jai Kunj Bihari, Jai Gopi Janvallabh, Jai Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Janvallabh, Jaya Giri Varadhari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brija Janaranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brija Janaranjana, Jaya Jamuna Tirbanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Manish ji. Very nice. It's a beautiful bhajan. Thank you for bringing it to the session. Loved it. All right. Who's next? Sheetal ji. Sheetal. Is it Sheetal from Pune?
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, your audio is not very clear. We can't hear your audio. You may want to fix your audio. Okay. In the meantime, Sandhya, you want to go?
Okay. But Nitinji, as I mentioned, at some places I would want if you could say Radhe, if that's possible.
Sure, we can have a couple.
Like Topewari or someone, anyone can, but one person.
All right.
Okay, and this is Hindi. Sorry for those who may not be. I mean, I couldn't translate it in the time, so.
Payalji, you will also say Radhe. I've unmuted you, okay?
Yeah, Payalji, please say Radhe when I say Topewari, okay? Awesome. Thank you. So I'll get started. तो पे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, तो पे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी। वाके पाछे पिए डोले चोई बोले प्यारी, वाके पाछे पिए डोले चोई बोले प्यारी। तोपे वारी
राधे
अरे तोपे वारी
राधे
तोपे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी। जय हो पिया बोले पाछे चले प्यारी, प्रेम भिखारी पिया दाता मेरी प्यारी। तोपे वारी
राधे
अरे तोपे वारी
राधे
तोपे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी। तेरा नाम तो है बड़ा तुझसे भी प्यारी, तेरा नाम तो है बड़ा तुझसे भी प्यारी। तोपे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी। नीलो रंग तनु प्यारो नीलो पट प्यारी, पीलो रंग पट प्यारो पीलो रंग प्यारी। तोपे वारी
राधे
अरे तोपे वारी
राधे
तोपे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वारी प्यारी। बड़ो नठ खट प्यारो बड़ी भोरी प्यारी, बड़ो नठ खट प्यारो बड़ी भोरी प्यारी। तोपे वारी वारी बरसाने वारी प्यारी, प्यारी 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 बरसाने वाली प्यारी। बरसाने वाली वृषभानु दुलारी कीर्ति कुमारी प्यारी प्यारी राधा रानी की जय।
जय हो।
That's it. Thank you.
Very nice, beautiful bhajan, Sandhya. Thank you. And like the picture, I think it is generated by AI, right? Artificial intelligence. I could see that. Very nice. Thank you. Beautiful bhajan on Radha Ashtami. Okay. Sheetal, are you back? You can go and then I can go next.
Yes.
Your audio fit.
Sheetal ji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe. Is it clear now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Once I sang Krishna's version of this song, but today for Radhashtami, I would like to sing the Radha version of this because this is a very beautiful song. I like it very much. And I will try to keep the notes low since Zoom's limitations.
Sure.
तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मेरी बांसुरी का गीत हो। तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मनमीत हो राधे मेरी मनमीत हो। तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मनमीत हो राधे मेरी मनमीत हो। तुम हो जहाँ मैं हूँ वहाँ राधा, तुम हो जहाँ मैं हूँ वहाँ, तुम बिन नहीं है कुछ यहाँ। तुम हो जहाँ मैं हूँ वहाँ, तुम बिन नहीं है कुछ यहाँ। मुझ में धड़कती हो तुम्ही, मुझ में धड़कती हो तुम्ही, तुम दूर मुझसे हो कहाँ। तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मनमीत हो राधे मेरी मनमीत हो। परमात्मा का स्पर्श हो राधे, परमात्मा का स्पर्श हो, पुलकित हृदय का हर्ष हो, परमात्मा का स्पर्श हो, पुलकित हृदय का हर्ष हो। तुम हो समर्पण का शिखर, तुम हो समर्पण का शिखर, तुम ही मेरा उत्कर्ष हो, तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मन मीत हो राधे, मेरी मन मीत हो। तुम प्रेम हो, तुम प्रीत हो, मेरी बांसुरी का गीत हो। राधे राधे, धन्यवाद।
Dhanyavad, Sheetal. Very nice. One of my favorite songs, right, from Radha Krishna serial. It's a very beautiful song, very nicely picturized as well. Thank you for bringing that. Palji is going to sing as well. Okay, let me do that because we'll save the best for the last then. So let me take a few lines from the bhajan. I think it's both Radha Krishna. So I don't want Krishna to feel left out today, okay, on Radha's birthday. So I said, okay, let me balance it out. श्यामा मेरी ठाकुरानी, श्याम मेरे ठाकुर, श्यामा मेरी ठाकुरानी, श्याम मेरे ठाकुर, राधा रानी ब्रज रानी, ब्रज राज ठाकुर, ठाकुरानी ठाकुर, दोनों को ही लाऊं, श्यामा मेरी ठाकुरानी, श्याम मेरे ठाकुर, दोनों में जो भेद माने, वाको ज्ञान आसुर, दोनों में जो भेद माने, वाको ज्ञान आसुर, श्यामा मेरी ठाकुरानी, श्याम मेरे ठाकुर, राधे राधे गोविंद, गोविंद राधे, राधे राधे गोविंद, गोविंद राधे, हरे राम, राम राम हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, श्यामा मेरी ठाकुरानी, श्याम Okay. All right. So over to you, Payal ji, for the last song for our Radha Ashtami special session. So last bhajan, so to say.
Thank you so much, Nitin ji. Happy Radha Ashtami to everybody. Okay. So I would like to attempt one of the Swamiji's bhajan today. Kadamba ki dari, Jhule Radha Pyare. कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी,
कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी, झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी, झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी, झूलावे बनवारी, झूलावे बनवारी। कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी, कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी। गावे ब्रज नारी दे दे कर तारी, गावे ब्रज नारी दे दे कर तारी। कुंज बिहारी बोले बोले बलिहारी, कुंज बिहारी बोले बोले बलिहारी। कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी, कदम की डाली झूले राधा प्यारी। बनी ब्रज नारी नाचे मद नारी, बनी ब्रज नारी नाचे मद नारी। जाऊं वारी वारी झांकी लगी न्यारी, जाऊं वारी वारी झांकी लगी न्यारी। कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी, कदम की डाली झूले राधा प्यारी। झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी, झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी, झूलावे बनवारी, झूलावे बनवारी। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe Payal ji, thank you so much. It's a beautiful bhajan and one of the best bhajans to do Roop Dhyan on actually. Very nice. Loved it. And this is one of the bhajans where Krishna is willing to do seva for Radharani, right? And we spoke about the concept why Radha wants to be served by Krishna, not for the sake of her happiness, but she knows that he feels good, right? It's a very beautiful bhajan. Very nice. So with that, we come to the end of today's session, our first of probably 2 sessions on Radha Tattva that we are going to do. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped shed light on a lot of topics related to the Radha Tattva and why we do Radhe Radhe. It's a privilege to do Radhe Radhe, okay? In fact, for you to do Radhe Radhe, the energy of God, it dances on your tongue for you to say that, okay? It's not a straightforward thing. So you should feel good when you say that. And hopefully, now that we are attuned to this name, next time somebody in bus or somewhere says Radhe Radhe, you'll be interested, okay, who's this guy, right? Like Maharaj ji say, now you'll be fascinated with this name. But if you go to Vrindavan and other places, it's pretty common there, right? Radhe Radhe is very common. They understand that. And everything is Shri Ju ki kripa there. They understand. So it's a very, very profound thing, and it's a huge privilege to be able to do Radhe Radhe. So let's build more sentiments towards this name, and wishing you a very happy Radhashtami, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day and a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you from my side.
Thank you so much, Nitinji, for this excellent session on Radha Tattva. Thank you, everybody, for your great participation. See you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. See you tomorrow. Good night.